This disturbing picture here, captured by the National Geographic, shows the invasive species Burmese python eating an alligator in the Everglades. This non-native organism was introduced into an ecosystem that wasn't theirs, which brought harm to the native species and disrupted the natural balance of the environment. This species that was once a pet animal was released into the wild, and now they have one of the top predators in the Everglades National Park, the American alligator. In the College Board article, it states how brown rats in New York City may be involving small rows of teeth. Tiny fish across the eastern U.S. have adapted to thrive in polluted urban waters. Around the globe, living things are evolving differently in cities than in surrounding countryside. For instance, invasive species are also evolving as well, and they have shown remarkable adaptability in surviving and thriving in different environments, which poses a significant threat to the native ecosystems. The ability of invasive species to adapt is one of the key factors that make them so successful in colonizing new environments. Relating back to the pythons, these invasive species have been able to adapt so well to Florida because of the favorable subtropical climate and the vast undisturbed ecosystem of the Everglades. The presence of invasive species impacts the natural balance of the environment, creates competition for native plants and animals, and reduces biodiversity in the ecosystem. Good afternoon, my name is Anna Freitas, and today I pose a question. To what degree have invasive species in Florida negatively impacted the terrestrial ecosystem in the 21st century? After I concluded my research, I found that invasive species are negatively impacted in terrestrial ecosystem in Florida. The introduction of invasive species in Florida has had a detrimental impact on the native plants and animals in the area. As these species are not native to the environment, they often outcompete native plants and animals for resources, leading to the decline in population. This is especially true for invasive species that are predators, as they can reduce the number of prey populations of native species, leading to their decline. This interesting picture here shows the food web of the python. Prior to Burmese pythons becoming established in the area, researchers under the direction of Michael Dorcas of Davidson College in North Carolina studied the distribution of the animal population in the Everglades for nearly 20 years. Most recently, they identified a sharp decline in the population of small mammals, such as raccoons, which are normally consumed by pythons, shown here in the food web. They also found that remaining mammals tend to be more numerous in regions that are either free of pythons or where pythons have been only recently been spotted. The Everglades are experiencing a large loss of species as a result of these pythons. And as these snakes continue to spread, this issue might get worse. Many species that call the Everglades home have begun to disappear largely because of the snake. Invasive species like these snakes are thriving because there are no predators that can hunt them in this new location. Pythons in Florida consume a wide range of mammals and birds, including species that are threatened or endangered, classified under the U.S. Endangered Species Act, such as the key larger wood rat and wood stork. According to Mr. Kahn in the Department of Biology of Lake Forest College, since these snakes can eat most prey, the effect of this invasion can be seen on the environment through the loss of native animals in Florida. In this infographic here about the South Florida Water Management System, it is clear that these snakes are eating their way through the Everglades as they consume many small mammals and even large alligators that once thrived in the Everglades National Park. Another negative impact of these invasive species is that they can alter the physical structure of the ecosystem, leading to biodiversity loss. Invasive species such as the Brazilian pepper tree and Chinese tallow trees can quickly take over an area, forming dense monocultures that can displace native vegetation. This can have ripple effect on the vegetation, altering the habitats for native species and reducing biodiversity. Brazilian pepper trees have a dense canopy that completely blocks out all other plants, making it extremely unfavorable environment for native species. These species reduces the richness of natural ecosystems by invading both aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. This tree is one of Florida's most invasive and aggressive species, covering more than 700,000 acres, according to the University of Florida's Center for Aquatic and Invasive Plants. Invasive species in Florida are altering habitats in various ways, leading to significant ecological and economic impacts. One major way invasive species alter habitats is by the disruption of the food web that I showed previously in my slides with the burning python. This in turn can affect the populations of other species that depend on these animals for food, leading to the disruption of food web. Another way invasive species alter habitats is by the changing structure of the ecosystem, like what the Brazilian pepper tree does to the environment. This can have a cascading effect on the entire ecosystem, including the animals that depend on these plants for shelter and food. Florida's unique and diverse ecosystem is under threat due to the presence of invasive species. Florida's home to a diverse range of ecosystems, from the Everglades to forests. Unfortunately, the introduction of invasive species has led to a disruption of many of these ecosystems. Invasive species are now a serious danger to Florida's ecology, and their negative impacts are visible in various ways. In summary, invasive species in Florida has led to the disruption of the terrestrial ecosystem by outcompeting native species for resources, preying on native species, reducing biodiversity, and altering habitats. It is important to take steps to prevent the introduction of invasive species and to control their populations once they're established, in order to protect Florida's unique and diverse ecosystems. Thank you, and these are my works cited.
Two questions I have for you. First up, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and then how do you know they were?
My sources are valid because I found them on credible research engines like EBSCO and Gale pages.
And what advice would you have for other researchers who consider this topic?
I would say to researchers that are, can you repeat the question?
What advice would you have for other researchers who consider this topic in the future?
My advice to other researchers would be to definitely pick something specific, as this topic can be very broad and there's different areas that you can look at in research, like the economic impact, the impact on ecosystems, what ecosystems. So definitely pick something specific and research that.
You're done, my